Make up a name for this.
Thank you.
We start at 11:30 or?
11:30.
Okay. Great. Wasn't sure how many more people are going to show up and stuff like that.
10 is how.
Versus those people that agree and disagree with the budget.
That's fine. I'm curious.
Well, I could try to present it.
I think you all do your budget before October.
January 1, January 1. We have to send the budget out. Members to vote on it. We have to send it down to the printer and mail it out.
Okay.
So that's why they have to have the hearing now. So they can get it printed and mail it out.
Vote and give it to you guys. Yeah. Just curious, what is that average annual budget? I've already thought about it.
Operating budget is a little over $1 million.
Okay.
And then you have the reserves, which, they account for roofs and air conditioners and stuff, which is about the same.
Got it.
I mean, you know.
I would like to open this meeting at 11:31 a.m. This is just a query, so you can ask questions.
Louder, please.
He's ready.
Good morning. This is a budget question meeting. We are only answering questions concerning the 2023 budget this morning. Thank you all for coming, and we hope we can answer your questions in a timely manner. Thank you.
I'm calling for a point of order.
What was that, Lynn?
I'm calling for a point of order.
What?
Point of order has to do with your vote on the budget last meeting.
What?
Your vote that you took for the 2023 proposed budget.
Yes.
Okay, so 23 minutes into the meeting, Anna Webster called for a vote. She called for a show of hands. 2 board members raised their hands approving the budget. Gail Metcalf and yourself, Rosemary. 40 minutes later, you called for a vote, again, saying you had a motion and a second, and for a raising of hands. You already had the budget, and it was not accepted, because 2 members, 25 minutes into it, did not approve of that. And you cannot call, according to Robert's Rules and Regulations, Robert's Rules of Order, you cannot call for a vote. It can only be the chairperson.
Don't cut her off. Quit pointing your finger at me, okay?
Okay, that's fine. I'm just saying, the budget did not pass technically, because you had a vote 25 minutes into it that Anna asked for the board members to raise their hands if they approved it. Only 2 members raised their hands. You, Rosemary, and Gail. No one else raised their hands. So how could this budget have been approved when you had 6 members sitting up there? We do follow Robert's Rules of Order. And according to them, the only person that can call for a vote is a chairperson. And the chairperson is the head of the HOA, the president.
We'll look at the video because I don't think that's correct.
We checked it several times. I took the exact wording out of the YouTube video. So technically, this budget has not been approved.
Okay. We'll check into that. But as far as I recall, we had a 5-to-1 vote to approve the budget.
That is when you called for it. That is not the first vote that was taken.
As the treasurer, I am the chairman of the finance committee.
They took out the chairman of the BOD meeting. It's the chairperson of the BOD meeting that calls for the vote, and that is Anna Webster.
Exactly. So, we
And
will
you
have
called
to.
for it, and you've got 2 people that approved it.
I will not disagree with you until I review the video.
That's
So
fine.
in the meantime, then I guess we won't be discussing anything today. So we'll just,
You
unfortunately,
can discuss it if you want, in case
oh,
I'm
no,
wrong.
I don't want to do anything to upset you, Mary.
Excuse me?
Oh, Lord.
What did you say?
I don't want to upset you and,
You're not upsetting me. You're not upsetting me at all.
okay.
I have
All
other
right,
questions.
I'll just, do you all want to ask your questions or do you want me to close this meeting? Raise your hands if you want to ask any questions.
Questions, yes.
All right, then we'll take this side first.
Antonia, you have a mic, so they
I can get one. Your mic. I'll do this, I can do this. Okay. Who's speaking first?
Before you start, can I ask one question here I have? Did you vote, Anna?
And
Did you vote? Did you raise your hand?
Did I raise my hand?
No.
Yes. I'm on the-
So if you raise your hand, Rosemary raised your hand, and, yeah, so that's 3.
Yeah.
So that's a tie. You, it's a deciding vote, can break that, and therefore you can pass it, correct? Thank you.
It's not how it happens.
Donna Logan, Unit 4. Okay, sorry. Donna Logan, Unit 4. I'm wondering why code enforcement is $40,000 less than last year when there's a $1 an hour raise coming up next October.
If you look at the last year's budget, they had $380,000 for wages for code enforcement. My understanding is they increased, and this is from 2 people that have told me this, they increased their budget in case we had a hurricane and they would have to call in our code and our people to work overtime. Even at $80,000, that's redundant. So we reduced it by, we reduced it from 380 to 340. At the end of June, their wages were $158,000. So we've allowed for that, and we've allowed for the increase in their hourly workers to begin to bring them up to the $15 on 2/16.
Anybody else? Vivian.
Vivian Blair, Unit 4. I'm just looking for a couple of clarifications. The first one is on printing. As of the end of June, it was $9,400 actually spent. The budget was actually $9,000 for 2022. For 2023, it's $90,000. Why did it go up that much? Is that because we're doing news and views? So it's
That's the cost of printing the news and views, plus including the other printing that we have done. Last year, it was not calculated as anything. I'll be very honest with you. This year, it has to be in there. If you expense it, you have to put the expense in there.
Okay, thanks for the clarification. My other question is, in budget 22, we had under Public Works, building maintenance, $300, and now it's $2,000. That's quite a jump. Are we putting up a new building?
We're allowing for the fact that they, at the end of June, they already had expensed $1,700. They've got some more work that they need to have done. I'm sorry, that's horrible English. They're looking at cleaning out some of these culverts this year that they haven't done, and some other maintenance that hadn't been done last year or the previous year. So we had to allow for an increase in that.
Okay, thank you. My next question is dumpsters. 22 budget, it was 2,500, now we're up to 3,700. Did they increase that much for dumpsters?
Yeah, because of,
Oh, I'm sorry, that's Public Works. Okay.
yeah, more cleaning that they're doing.
Did anybody check into other dumpster services to see if we could get a better deal?
I don't know, but I'd be happy to check on that for you, Vivian.
I mean, when things jump up that much, I understand everything is jumping up, but possibly the next
And I
question would
think we
be,
were also allowing for the fact that we're looking for Republic probably to raise their rates. We're all going to see it, I think, maybe next year. So we are allowing for some increase on that also.
all right, my next question is on gate maintenance. With this new gate service, are they maintaining the gates or are we? I don't understand the gate maintenance. I thought that was part of their package. And is there a monthly fee for the new gate service?
There'll be a maintenance fee. Okay.
That's under code
I'm
enforcement.
gonna, yeah, I know where it is, thank you. I understand that every time someone hits those gates, that goes an expense to this. And then we try to bill them or the other, an insurance company, if somebody else hits the gate, and this is mainly the expense that's here, is the gate being hit or jarred, and then it comes loose, then we have to have it fixed.
But I've heard of people that have hit the gates have been charged to have them fixed. So should that offset?
It wouldn't offset it there, it would have to go in part of the income, okay? These are just expenses.
Okay, and I guess this is my last question. Under code enforcement again, for vehicle maintenance, it's 22 was 4,000, we jacked it up to 5,000. We have new vehicles. I understand we have other vehicles in the community, but we have new vehicles. Aren't they under warranty?
Okay. Yes, they are to a point, but you need to understand, we put a lot of miles on these vehicles every day, so there'll be tires. You have to replace the tires. Tires are not cheap today. And the last time they took the black truck down to have it serviced, it was pretty pricey, and we're looking into that. Why did we not have at least 1 or 2 free services when that deal was made? So that's why we allowed a little more money, is basically for replacement on wear and tear on our vehicles that becomes our responsibility, not the warranty responsibility.
Okay, thanks for the clarification. I'm done. Who's next?
Anybody else over here? Okay, over here. Let's start with this gentleman here first.
Good morning, Steve Robart, Unit 2. I've got a follow-up question on the printing. My concern is that we're spending at a pace of just under $20,000 a year this year, and yet it's going up to $90,000 for next year. I thought the new printing service was supposed to be cheaper than the old one.
We have to pay to have this news and views printed. It costs us around $6,400, an average of $6,400 a month. Yes.
Okay, well then what you're saying is the $9,400 doesn't include news and views through June?
Well, the $9,400 is, I'm saying $6,400 a month, not a year.
Right, but you spent $9,400 the first 6 months of the year.
This is from June, yes. That's what it
a-
is. That's what they put in there, and that's what I have to go by, yeah.
And that's what I was going by. If we only spent that much in 6 months, it should come to less than $20,000 for the year, but.
Yeah, but, I think we need to understand, our bookkeeper left early May. She resigned. She was supposed to, and I'm not making excuses here at all. Our new bookkeeper came on board. She was supposed to have some training by the outgoing bookkeeper. She maybe gave her, and I'm going to be generous when I say this, 20 hours. Any of you who worked or have worked out and you go from one company to another and you have experience and you know the job, every company is different. You have to adapt to that company and to their way of doing things. So our bookkeeper has taken on a lot, trying to learn all of it, trying to adapt and get all the right figures and go, and we're working on that. She does a great job. We're still in that period of changeover. I know it takes some time, and I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. Do you have any more questions, sir?
Yeah, just one other question, and that's in public works, wages and salaries. The first 6 months, we spent $38,000. And we're budgeting $125.
That's correct.
In the first 6 months, we had 2 employees, and now we have 3. We lost an employee, so Kevin and Billy were working by themselves. Now we have a new employee. That's why we had to increase that yearly salary, and it also includes the rate increases also.
Okay, thank you.
Mary Sweeney, Unit 4. Mary Sweeney, Unit 4. I'd like to help you out on the printing, Anna. The printing has gone up for us to send out the budget. We also have a mailing on that budget. We also do the board of directors when we come up in April. So that all goes into printing. And we lost our printer last year. And we have a new printer, so I have no idea how much it's costing us. But I'm sure it's a heck of a lot higher than what we had before.
Thank you so much, Mary. Mary?
Mary Story, Unit 6. On your proposed budget, you have your estimated other income source is $90,000. How are you getting that $90,000? It's on the first page of the proposed budget.
Is our ordinary income and expense?
No, on the first page it says estimated other income, $90,000, landscaping, $15,000, fine, $70,000. So how are you proposing to get that $90,000? What are we doing to get that $90,000?
On the expense side of the admin, the printing was $90,000. Included in that was the expense of the news and views. When you have an expense, you have to have the other side, you have to have the income. The income from the news and views is in that other income, along with the Friday night bingo.
So Friday night bingo is going to yield us $12,000, so you're saying that news and views is going to yield us over $70,000?
Pretty much. Pretty much, yes.
So you're taking the full income that you're getting from the ads and everything, and that's what you're putting in there as your income?
Right, because your offset is the expense.
Okay, that's fine. Next question. Why was Social Security and unemployment removed as an expense in each department?
Apparently, our other bookkeeper decided she didn't want to take the time when the social and the withholding was paid to distribute it to the other departments. She just put it all and paid it all out of admin. So we left it that way this year. Everything in the code, public facility, their social and their withholding all come out of admin.
Wouldn't it be more logical to put it back into
Yes,
each
it
department?
would. It would, Mary.
Because then it would be an accurate expense for that department. So do we plan on doing that?
They're paying it out of admin.
They pay workers' comp, they pay salary for every department out of it, but we still list it actually in the
I know
department.
what you're saying, but when you do this budget or when you get your reports, it's not going to show any money, any expense on social or withholding for the other three accounts because they were all lumped together prior. Now, to work to get it the other way, yes, that can happen, but it takes time. I'm sorry.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Do you plan to put it back where it will be an
I would
expense
like
for
to
each
see it that way.
department?
I would love to see it that way, the way it should be actually done. Yeah, and I don't know why somebody, and I'll be honest with you, and I'm pretty honest, somebody was lazy and they didn't want to bother calculating and moving that money around because it's not that hard to do.
But it should be corrected, actually. Why was the admin budget raised $123,000 up to $500,000? You have your total for the admin on the first page. Administration's total is $500,200. Why was it raised? It was only $300. It went up $123,000.
Okay, it was raised, first of all, Social Security, unemployment, okay, $54,000 and the other's $400. The printing went up to $90,000 from $9,000 that was on the 2022 budget. That almost increases it to the 500.
Okay. Okay, question on health insurance for the full-time employees. We have one full-time employee in code enforcement, correct? And one in facilities. The regulations on the employee's health insurance is a maximum premium of $600 a month, of which we pay 50%. So therefore, the max they should be getting a month is $300. So why is code enforcement getting $7,200 and facilities getting $4,000?
I will also tell you that's a contract with an employee. That's all I can tell you about that.
So you're saying both of these employees have contracts with us? Excuse me, I couldn't hear you.
It's part of the contract.
For both employees is what I'm asking.
Yeah.
So these two employees are under contract also?
No, they're not really. It's just part of their, I'm sorry, let me correct myself, their agreements. Happened before me. It was not, I'm sorry, but some of these figures were not correctly entered in the 2022 budget. I'm going to explain something else to you also. Finance committee, the only person that sees these wages on the finance committee is the chairperson. When this comes to the committee, all we do is down from the operation, and that's what we do. The wages have already been set. These figures come from the general manager, and they know what the payrolls are, they know what the wages are.
Okay, it's not their wages, it's their health insurance, but one of these in the facility full-time person was done under your regime and was done under the new general manager. So we're ignoring what the policy is, and by having allowed an extra money being given there over and above what they're supposed to be getting. Can I ask about the audit? Because the audit is part of the budget. Well, it should be part of the budget. Is it still in draft form?
The audit is still in draft form, I'm sorry to say.
What, can you explain to me what that means, draft form? We spent $10,000 for auditors to give us an audit. I would think we trust them enough when they give the audit back, that's the audit we get. I mean, are you making changes? What's being reviewed?
Wait a minute, okay, hold on.
Go ahead.
The draft came in, and on their letterhead, it says, for general manager and board only, until we get the original one. I have questions on that draft, I'll tell you that right now. And I'm dealing with that, and hopefully we'll have it taken care of by next week. That's all I can say.
Okay, thank you.
Linda Walls, Unit 6. The past budgets, we always had an income source. In this budget, there's no income source.
I don't believe you had it on the 2022 budget. We looked at that. The income source is on the P&L. You can, if you want me to sit and write it all down for you, but you can figure it out.
Since
Do you want to see what we're looking at?
I know what it looks like. I have one, Mary. Thank you very much.
yeah, well, Brookridge is a not-for-profit corporation.
Yes, it is.
And we have to follow other Florida statutes besides the 720s.
Correct.
Okay, we have the 617s and the Sunshine Law. In both of those statutes, it states that the association shall prepare an annual budget reflecting estimated revenues and expenses for that year, and the estimated surplus or deficit as of the end of the year. So we're not following Florida statutes like we should. Yes. Prior to last year's budget, we always had the income source in the budget, along with the reserve spreadsheet.
And yes, and I'm sorry and I apologize. The reserve, as you know, is ready. It's already been approved. And it wasn't with the budget when we had it the other night. But it is, put it on the, we can put it on an email. You can come in and get a copy if you.
I've got a copy of it already.
Okay.
And when you compare it to the reserve studies, there's things that are omitted that's not on the spreadsheet, that's on the study. There's items such as computers, software. the reserve study, those are not on the reserve study. Somebody added those to the spreadsheet somewhere along the line. I'm not saying you did, because they were on there last year
It
too.
wasn't us, I'll tell you that right now.
But those things were to come out of operating and not our reserve account, so you're draining our reserve account, and it should be paid back. And I've got a pamphlet that Becker, our attorney, put out there that states you cannot add components to a reserve study. And that has been done, and those items have been paid for out of reserves that shouldn't have been. So operating technically needs to replace that money in the reserve account.
Thank you, Linda. Anybody else? Jim?
Jim Westbrook, Unit 2. Could you make a clarification on just some of the, just speaking only on the revenue, the income? What I thought you said earlier was on the income that was 90,000, the estimated other income, 78,000 of it is news and views, and 12,000 was Friday night bingo. Is that accurate? Then the landscaping, 15,000. I assume that's for all that you mow the grass on people's yards, you bill and so forth. Is pretty much that's the only characteristic. And then collection and fines, 70,000. That's for the people with late payments. They got speeding tickets, all those types of things. And then last but not least, 120 for administration. What would fall into that? What numbers make up that 120? Can you Mike?
Estoppel fees and copying and postage, fax machine, poll pass, convenience fees. I have a list. Other income. Is, and this is, I have the wrong sheet, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
No problem. If you'd like to maybe touch base with me later, that's fine. We don't have to take everybody's time up now.
Again, I'm sorry, I don't understand what.
Of the 120, I was just trying to get a clarification of that 120, what, for example, is the stop fees. How much of that 120 comes from that?
Right now, we have about $30,000. I don't have the P&L from January 1 to today because I haven't got the September 1. But as of the end of August, our estoppel fees were already 16,000, already 3,300. There'll be a lot more than that. I will be happy to go back and recap. I must have left my other list in the office. We'll look at it and be glad to give it to you, Jim.
Okay,
Anybody else who wants it?
Okay. One question I had on the Friday night bingo, it appears that we're getting roughly just less than $250 every week for bingo. To me, that seems like a ridiculously low number. Should that budget number be higher?
Well, you can only budget what you think you're going to get.
Okay, well, let me ask it a different way. Can we, in the budget,
charge you more?
Can we, rather than get 1,000, can we get 2,000, 1,500, 1,800?
Well, okay, we used to get 2,300 from them every month.
Right.
And then COVID came.
Right. COVID's coming, got it.
Now, wait a minute, they were shut down. Well, when they opened up again, then they didn't get the clientele that they normally do. Most of their people come from out of the park.
Right.
So they are not making the money they made before COVID. they can afford to pay $1,000 right now. Now, for a while, we weren't getting anything from that.
Right, I understand that. In 2023, can they afford to pay $1,200, for example, or $1,500, or $1,800, or $2,000? Because we're still in the latter part of 22. We're not even talking about till January of 23. How do we get that number higher so that we can increase our revenue so that all the residents benefit?
Get more people to come to the Friday night bingo.
I get that. That was the obvious answer. Let me ask it in another way. When Friday Night Bingo has their bingo and they make $3,000 and their expenses are $2,000, they can afford to give us $1,000 for that month. Do we know what their expenses are and what they could pay us? $1,000 is a great round number, but my guess is there's some room in there where we can get an additional amount of revenue. So that's my question for the bingo.
We talked with Ellie, who was in charge of the Friday night bingo. I think she's resigned and someone else is taking it over. And that was a couple months ago, and we asked them if they can't at least pay us something. And she said, right now we can pay you $1,000 a month. Now we have to go back to the table and see if they can come up with more. They're still not getting the number. They need to have at least 175, 200 a night. And they're getting what I'm being told, I don't go to Friday night bingo. What I'm being told is they average about 125 or maybe 130. People like to go to Friday night because they pay out more, but then you have to pay more to get the packets. So they're their own entity, just like every other club in here. It's not for us to go and to check their accounts, unless you want to send an auditor in to check their accounts.
I understand that. It's to me, the way I see it, it's a landlord-tenant relationship. We're allowing them to come in here, and for the luxury of doing it, they pay us X number of dollars in revenue. As being a former landlord, in every situation, as the landlord, you set the rate, not the tenant. You say, you need to pay us $1,200, $1,500. And if they can't pay it, then you need to prove why you can't pay us. Has anyone from the board actually spent the effort to, whether you or any of the other 6 board members, or is it 5 board members, whatever, looked into that? Because if I was on the board, I'd say you need to pay us $1,250, and if they can't pay it, they would have to come and tell us why they couldn't.
You as a board member just don't go out and tell people what they're supposed to do and what they're not supposed to do.
I understand that, but when they're using our facilities, we should control that conversation.
We control it, but it's up to the president and any board member she wants to have, or he wants to have with them, not a board member going off on their own.
No, I understand they wouldn't go off on them. It would be talked at a meeting, and then they would talk to the group.
I understand where you're coming from, because we would like to have more money from them, and really and truly, it costs us in our salaries, in the air conditioning, the lights, the paper products.
Absolutely. There's a lot of fixed costs there, I understand.
And it's a cost. And these guys and girls work hard in here. And they set these tables up. They take these tables down. I don't think they're appreciated as much as they should be. And so what if they go in the kitchen and have a cup of coffee? They earned it. And I am very much a staff person. And these people are important to me. So, yes, Jim, I understand what you're saying. I also understand the fact that a lot of our clubs have a lot of outside people coming in here, and they're not paying anything.
Right, but the bingo is solely you come in, you make money, and it's like a one type of an event. My concern is that we're spending between the fixed costs, the lights, the utilities, the staff. We're spending, for example, $1,050, but we're only getting $1,000 in. Correct. I guess I would make the recommendation that somebody needs to look into it more deeply.
Exactly, and I agree with you 100%. Also, hope you understand that we are a humane and caring development. So, and I hope a lot of other people remember that. Are there any other questions?
And one final question. Of the 120, was, or any of the 295, I don't see, or maybe it's baked in somewhere else, the revenue from the CDs that we get. Where would that fall?
The revenue from the CDs?
Right, we have CDs.
That goes back into the revenue. It goes back into the reserve, into the accounts that we have with the banks. And understand one thing, we are an NPO. We are not allowed to make a lot of money. And when we file our income tax at the end of the year, if we go over a certain amount as income, I think it's 5%, then we no longer become an NPO, we become a business.
Okay.
So those are things we have to think about when we want to make $65,000 interest on our returns. We have to be very careful about that. We want to stay an NPO.
Okay, do you have the number, what the maximum amount we can earn on our CDs in a year to be under that number?
I cannot tell you that at the moment.
Do you have a range or a ballpark?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
I haven't at all. I call my home because I'm there all the time. Any other questions? Mary?
Mary Story, Unit 6. Your bad debt, you're only writing off $14,000. I'm looking at actual was for 19 was 33,000. Last year we wrote off 70,000. Administration bad debt 5320-01. Last year they wrote off almost 70,000. 19, I have an actual budget that says they wrote off 33. What year was this? I have an 18 that says 23. 17, I have bad debt 25. So why are we only writing off 14,000 for bad debt? I know it's got to be an estimated number, but it appears to be low. Okay, because bad debt is everything that we can't collect with our liens and that.
That's in there in case we have to write off any bad debt unanticipated. You know,
I know why it's in there, and my question is, why is it so low amount of money?
Well, to be very honest with you, we're following through with the last couple of years, they put the same amount in, $14,000, and you'll notice that none of it was used.
You're saying we didn't write anything off for liens or anything else last year?
I think we'll be writing some off this year. I can only go by what is there, Mary.
Okay, my last question is, once you review the YouTube tapes, will you get back to me and let me know?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Or anything from my committee today?
I'd like to make a comment. Tom Wellington, Unit 1. I'm going to speak as a resident and as a member of the Finance Committee. First, I want to talk about the Finance Committee. You really don't have any idea how much time and involvement is involved in looking up documents. Hours and hours and hours were spent by Anna going back to try and get these figures correct, trying to get the reserve study correct. We found many, many errors in both. I feel that as a resident now, I'm going to speak, there should be 3 people up here that should be answering some questions for you people. Those are 3 former presidents of the board, Mark Keller, Gail Metcalf, and Jerry Foster. Some of the things that were discovered were absolutely unbelievable. It would seem to me that we got an audit report. On that audit report, it stated there was 2 sets of books maintained. Not only that, we retrieved an email from a former bookkeeper who admitted it, stupidly admitted it, that that was true. So what really gets me is, in these past administrations that I just mentioned, a lot of this stuff has trickled down the line, and now we have to answer for all that crap. And I think it's unfair, and I think that they have the guts to come up here and they should answer some of your questions, because it is absolutely terrible what was found out. And you deserve it. Now, I'll say something. I believe in 2020, Mary Story was on the Finance Committee with me.
And so is Linda.
And also you. We are probably on different ends of the country on a lot of things, but one thing that they have, and they contributed, was positive things to work hard and get a budget the right way. And I thank them for their contribution.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom.
And I mean that. They worked hard. In the past year, month after month, whether it's board meetings or workshops or whatever, Mary has asked some pertinent questions. She deserves answers. You deserve answers. Everything ought to be having accountability. But what gets me is you're not making the people who should be accountable for this that come up here and address these issues. And these former presidents should do that. It is disgraceful for what we have discovered of what was going on. And I mean, we were handed a bucket of crap to look for. We go back and back and back. The manipulation of funds, things, reserves moved. You cannot do that, but it was done. And it's sad, pathetic. We vote people to be on the boards to look for the benefit of the prosperity of this community, and they just don't do it. Currently, we have a board now that's trying. Now I'm going to eliminate my next comment of a person that's on the present board. Rosemary, you're eliminated from this comment.
Thank you, Tom.
There's about 3 board members presently who's out there saying a bunch of crap and saying things and, well, and all she does is pay attention to numbers and this and that. Well, you know what? If they did their damn job before, numbers count. They're important to this community. That's what makes this place go. And if somebody manipulates and messes around with them, they should be held accountable. And they're not. But they seem to think that they know it all. And the problem I see that these 3 people, presidents, didn't address any of these issues is they all think they're smarter than the other one. Well, they're not. You people out here are smarter than some of them. I'd love to see some new blood that come in and start and help us out here. Put your name in there. Run for the board. It's fun. When it's working, it's great. I can remember years ago, I've been here 44 years. I can remember down the hall, we had meetings and we're lucky we had 3 chairs and 1 person was sitting in it in the audience. Now it's different. Things change. Laws change. Accountability change. So be respectful to this committee. That's all I'm asking. And I think Anna's taken a big beating that's unnecessary. And it's crazy. I could say more, but I'm telling you, I was ready to have 2 shots of whiskey before I came here, but I didn't because I'm a non-alcoholic. But I'll tell you, I could really blow some steam off. Yes, sir, you have something to say?
Yeah, I'm George Clare, I'm Unit 4. If this is the facts and figures that you're telling us, Paul, which is great, but shouldn't the residents be eligible to have the brochures or some kind of a breakdown of how stupid the last three were?
I am not going to speak for Anna Webster. But
No, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to the three that you brought up.
Okay, she's aware of these. We're going to be a report. Am I correct, Anna? Is there going to be a report that you're going to address some of these issues?
Yes, I am, but it takes time.
It takes time, but yes, it will be addressed. That answers your question, sir.
Thank you.
Beverly Epstein, Unit 6. I have a question. Do you ever investigate hiring a professional accounting service as a bookkeeper? We've had trouble for the last few years. I agree with Tom. And, you know, it would be a little costly, but we'd have more accuracy, perhaps.
What about the forensic audit? Don't you think we really need to, even though it's probably going to be expensive, but considering...
I'd like to answer that for you, please.
Considering everything, I've only been here 2.5 years, and I'm telling you, this is not a pleasant place to live. But I used to be a comptroller, okay? I really think that it's worth the money. I don't mind paying extra, but this is sad. This is a sad place. Can you do it or not?
The issue that we have, and this has gone through our legal department, according to our legal department, unless we have actual physical proof of misappropriation of funds, investment, or any such thing, we cannot, it would not be prudent, economically prudent, to have a forensic audit. And that is the judgment from our attorney. We have to have proof.
He sounds like he's got proof.
And we're looking into a lot of that stuff now, but until we have actual physical proof, we cannot ask for a forensic audit. And a forensic audit, the last time they tried it, a few years, maybe 2020, they spent $5,000, and then the board president shut it down.
I'm Roger Logan, I'm Unit 4.
Mary?
You said you don't have proof, which sounds like you're jumping on the end. There's a lot of accusations. There's got to be, you've been kicking this can down the road for the 2.5 years Don and I have lived here. And I don't understand why the accusations have been a lot about previous boards. There should be a forensic audit. It just should be it. There shouldn't be any question in that to have it. Two budgets, that's enough.
I really think at this time, we came to this meeting to discuss the 2023 budget. Forensic audit, other things, we aren't prepared to discuss these things today. This was strictly for Q&As on the 2023 budget.
Can I just make a statement in reference to something, a suggestion? about the forensic audit? Why don't we put it out to vote to the people if they would be willing to have it? It affects every resident in here. It's our money that if we think has been misappropriated. So why not let the people decide? Did you run that by legal, that if we put it out to a vote to our people and they were willing to support and pay for a forensic audit, then maybe we could do the forensic audit that way and get to the bottom of everything a lot sooner?
That's a good suggestion, Mary, and I'm sure Anna and I will run it by our attorney to see if we can do this.
Sorry.
If there aren't any other questions? Thank you all for coming. Thank you for your questions. We have a lot to process and a lot to think about, but please keep in mind, we're doing this for the good of this community. Thank you.
Which one?
One is just inherited.
So what was this drone?
Oh, it's real. Okay. Real to taking aerial photos to put on the website.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, under our governing documents, they can fly in their airspace. Yeah. Now, okay, I get that those cameras are super sensitive and you can angle in through, and yeah, I understand all that, believe me, I do, but you know, I spoke to Brian, like, you know, if you take a picture, you know, that's